And are there any other rowing nations that you feel have a really good stamp on the way they do it, the funding, and the way that they're sort of rowing structure?
I think one of the countries that have been up on the up is Holland, the Netherlands. Because the World Championships are coming up there, I gave an interview to a journalist from Holland, and I didn't go to last year's World Championships, so I had to look on the internet to see of what results were there, and I was actually surprised at how much depth that they had, because normally they have one or two good boats, but they had some great results below the one or two great results that they had. Which is encouraging to see, but no, it'll be the normal suspects that Germany, I think, are still on the up. I think that they're going to get stronger over the next few years, and as they always used to be. But when the Germany split in the men's divisions, is that East Germany were the top men's nation and West Germany the second. And we're thinking, oh my God, what's it going to be like next year when they compete together? And actually, they steadily went down, more for political reasons than anything else, of how we're going to do it. When you've got two great nations competing against each other, of how you blend those two together, it didn't really work, and it's taken a long time. It took a long time to sort of hit the lows within German rowing, but certainly they seem to be coming up again.
Sorry, Fergus. And Steve, you haven't mentioned the United States at all. Do you have any thoughts about them, either going up, going down, or being?
The Americans are pretty stable of what they're doing. Is that they have very small resources. They struggle to compete internationally. The women's 8 being the strongest, and they have an amazing setup of that. A lot of funding goes into that program. And they don't really produce much else other than the women's 8, but they are head and shoulders better than anybody else. And I can't really see on a year-to-year basis anybody really touching them. The men are normally competitive within the 8, but there isn't really a big desire to do anything other than the bigger boats. It works for the women. It sometimes works for the men. They're a country that do target all the World Championships events, so they tend to do quite well at non-Olympic events, but by and say for the size of country that it is that they basically underperform to the athletes that they have.
And is there any one person in particular that you think could bring additional strength to any international rowing team? So, for example, Sir David Brailsford, the character who obviously took British rowing to new heights.
British
Cycling.
Yeah, British cycling. Sorry, yeah.
Unless there's been a big change. No. But obviously that with the Sky finances and organisation, is that the cycling has improved a huge amount in this country. But before Dave Brailsford was involved, his cycling was on the up, especially track cycling. Chris Boardman winning gold in Barcelona was really the start of the changing from that. And then when Sky came in and sponsored it, they had a higher profile. And Dave Brailsford, rightly so, got a lot of recognition for what he did. But that's no different to what rowing's been doing under Jurgen Pohl and David Tanner. We don't have the same profile, so where Dave Brailsford gets recognised for what he's done is that we've achieved almost the same, if not better, in some ways over a longer period. We don't seem to get the recognition, but that's the publicity side of it all.
And on a slightly different tack, you obviously consistently delivered medals over a number of Olympics. Is there any sort of tips or sort of technique that you managed to peak your performance? Although obviously your performance was consistently high with the worlds in between, but you obviously managed just to make sure that you were at the top of your game for the pinnacle of the 4-year cycle.
I can say I was pretty lucky in some ways. Is that a lot of work, a lot of dedication, but probably the two best rowing coaches that are recognised around the world, one Mike Sprackling and the other one Jürgen Grobler, both coached me at different times in my career. At one time, I was probably recognised as being one of the best athletes in the world in rowing, if not the best athlete. And around the Atlanta Games, is that the second best athlete in the world overtook me, and I happened to be rowing with him in a pair. So where I say luck is that I've had fantastic coaches and fantastic people to row with, but it is about of peaking at the right time. And I suppose the difference between Jürgen and Mike was sort of almost self-taught within the sport. Had a very good touch and feel about of the sport and training from that. But sometimes it was a little bit hit and miss when you came to major championships. With Jürgen, it was much more methodical build up during the season. Your first race tended to be quite a good performance, but your second race was going to be better. Your third race was going to be better than that. And on whole, the period of time that I was with Jürgen, we always had that process of building up and having your better performance at the last major race of the year, and then sort of holding that base through the winter to be able to start from that level on the next year of the build up to Olympic Games. So I can say that I've had great people looking after me of getting that performance, and there is no real big secret behind it. And then rowing with Matthew, that had the same sort of desire and hunger that I had for the sport, worked really well as the competition between us as well. We were very competitive outside the racing with each other. It was us against each other in the gym, on the rowing machine, or whatever we were doing, playing cards in the hotel foyer. But when we got into the pair, then it was us against the world.